Think about the simplest things you do every single day. Picking up your coffee, maybe typing, giving a quick thumbs up. These things feel effortless, right? But
Hmm.
underneath, there's this incredibly complex network making it all happen. Today, we're doing a deep dive into that network, the nerves of your upper limb. We've got some great anatomical diagrams, some really interesting case studies too. We're going to map out this amazing wiring system, basically from your shoulder right down to your
Mm.
fingertips.
And what's really fascinating, I think, is tracing the actual paths these nerves take.
Mm.
Figuring out exactly which muscles they control, what feelings they send back to the brain, and importantly, what happens when something goes wrong, when these pathways get disrupted. It's like exploring the body's own electrical grid.
Yeah, exactly. So our mission here is to kind of unpack all that complexity, give you a clear picture of what each major nerve does in everything you do with your arms and hands. Ready to jump in? Okay, so when we talk about the nerves of the upper limb,
Mm-hmm.
we're essentially looking at the body's communication superhighway, right? Running from the spinal cord all the way down.
That's a good way to put it. And connecting it to the bigger picture, these nerves don't just appear out of nowhere. They mainly start from specific levels in the spinal cord. We're talking the C5 down to T1 segments. So that's roughly from your lower neck to your upper back area. From there, they weave together into this complex network, almost like a braid, before branching out. This ensures every single movement, every sensation in your arm, your forearm, your hand, it's all precisely controlled. Each main nerve sort of stakes out its own territory.
Okay, let's zoom in then. Let's look at the big players here, starting up near the shoulder and working down. You mentioned five main ones: axillary, musculocutaneous, radial, median, and ulnar. Each one sounds pretty critical.
They really are. Let's start with the axillary nerve. Its main job is right around the shoulder joint itself. It gives the motor commands, the power, to the deltoid muscle, that big muscle capping your shoulder. Think about lifting your arm out to the side. That's largely the deltoid, powered by the axillary nerve. It also gets the teres minor muscle, too.
Right, that lifting motion. But it's not just movement, is it? Does it handle feeling there too?
Exactly. It's not just motor. It also handles sensation, specifically the skin covering the lower part of that deltoid muscle. So you get feeling in that particular patch of your shoulder. It's both movement and sensation for that key joint.
Okay, got it. So moving down the arm a bit, what about the musculocutaneous nerve? Where does that one fit in?
Ah, the musculocutaneous. This one's a major player for bending your elbow, what we call arm flexion. It supplies the power to your biceps brachii, the classic bicep muscle everyone knows,
Yeah.
and also the coracobrachialis and the brachialis muscles, which work alongside the biceps. These are your main pulling and lifting muscles in the upper arm.
So mostly about that strong elbow bend then.
Mhm.
And sensation-wise, does it cover any skin?
It does. It branches off into something called the lateral cutaneous nerve of the forearm. And just like the name suggests, cutaneous meaning skin, it gives you feeling on the skin along the outer or lateral side of your forearm.
Okay, now the radial nerve. This one sounds like a really big deal. You mentioned it covers a lot of ground.
Oh, absolutely. The radial nerve has, well, probably the widest reach of them all. It gets contributions from C5 all the way down to T1 in the spine. Its primary role is extension. So straightening things out, your elbow, your wrist, your fingers, think about pushing something away or just letting your arm hang straight. It controls the triceps muscle on the back of your arm. That's your main elbow straightener. And then a whole bunch of muscles in your forearm, too, like the brachioradialis, supinator, anconeus, and basically all the extensor muscles for your wrist and fingers. Extensor carpi this, extensor digitorum that. Lots of them.
Wow, that's a huge list of responsibilities
Yeah,
just for straightening things. What about sensation? Does it cover a big area there too?
it does. Yeah, its sensory territory is also quite extensive.
Mhm.
You get feeling on the back of your arm, the back of your forearm, and then its superficial branch wraps around at the back of your hand. It covers the sensation for your thumb, index finger, middle finger, and about half of your ring finger, the backside, including the nail beds. Critically, this nerve is what allows you to release your grip. Opening your hand involves those extensor muscles it controls.
That's fascinating. Okay, moving on to the median nerve. This is the one often linked with like really fine, precise hand movements, right?
That's absolutely right. The median nerve, also from that C5-T1 range, is vital for fine motor control, especially anything involving your thumb and index finger working together. In the forearm, it powers most of the muscles that flex your wrist and fingers, bending them inwards. Things like the flexor carpi radialis, palmaris longus, flexor digitorum superficialis.
And what about when it actually gets into the hand?
That's where it really shines for dexterity. In the hand, it controls the thenar muscles. That's the fleshy mound at the base of your thumb. Specifically, the abductor pollicis brevis, flexor pollicis brevis, and crucially, the opponens pollicis. That opponens is the muscle letting you touch your thumb tip to your other fingertip's thumb opposition. It's, fundamental to our ability to manipulate tools. It also handles the first two lumbrical muscles, these tiny muscles that help with complex finger movements. Sensation-wise, it covers the palm side of the thumb, index, middle, and half the ring finger, plus their nail beds.
Gotcha. And finally, the ulnar nerve, the famous funny bone nerve. What's its main job besides causing that weird jolt when you bang your elbow?
Yeah, everyone knows that feeling. The ulnar nerve comes from the lower roots, C8 and T1. And while the funny bone sensation is memorable, its real day-to-day importance is huge for grip strength and all those intricate little finger movements. In the forearm, it powers the flexor carpi ulnaris, which helps bend your wrist towards the pinky side, and part of the deep muscle that flexes your fingers.
So it's really contributing to the power aspect of our grip.
Definitely. And maybe even more importantly, in the hand itself, it controls most of the intrinsic hand muscles. These are the small muscles located entirely within your hand. We're talking about the adductor pollicis, super important for pinching power, bringing the thumb firmly toward the palm. Also, all the interosseous muscles, these let you spread your fingers apart and bring them together. Think playing piano scales or typing. Plus, the lumbricals for the ring and pinky fingers and all the little muscles that move your pinky finger independently, the hypothenar muscles. So yeah, huge for both strong grip and fine, detailed finger control.
Okay. And sensation for the ulnar nerve, where does that cover?
It handles the pinky finger and the half of the ring finger next to it, both on the palm side and the back of the hand, including those nail beds.
Okay, understanding these five main highways is one thing, but you mentioned it gets even more intricate when you look at specific muscle groups and actions. It's like zooming in on the individual circuits.
Exactly. That's a great way to think about it. Let's connect it back to some concrete movements. Think about actions like turning your palm upward supination or extending your thumb for that thumbs up. These movements rely heavily on muscles powered by the radial nerve, located mostly in the posterior or back part of your forearm. For instance, the supinator muscle itself, which does the palm-up turning action, radial nerve. And those key thumb muscles, the abductor pollicis longus, extensor pollicis longus, extensor pollicis brevis, pull your thumb out and straighten it. All radial nerve territory. Same for extending your index finger independently with the extensor indicis.
So giving that thumbs up, pointing, even just opening your hand wide, you're firing up muscles controlled mainly by the radial nerve. It's really the opening and extending nerve.
Yeah.
Now, when we get right into the hand, the level of precision is just, well, mind-blowing. How do the median and ulnar nerves work together there for that incredible dexterity?
Yeah, it really is remarkable. And it raises the question, how do we manage such fine control? Let's take pinching something small, like a key. That strong pinching action, where you bring your thumb forcefully towards your index finger or palm, that relies heavily on the adductor pollicis muscle. And that muscle, exclusively ulnar nerve territory.
Yeah.
But then contrast that with the ability to touch your thumb tip to your pinky tip, that complex opposition movement that's enabled by the opponent's pollicis muscle, part of the finer group.
Okay.
And those muscles, primarily controlled by the median nerve. So you see this division of labor. The ulnar nerve brings the power for reduction. The median nerve enables the finesse of opposition. And then you have those little lumbricals and interosseous controlled by both nerves depending on the finger, allowing for all the complex bending, straightening, spreading, and closing movements. It's a real partnership.
It's just incredible. Tiny muscles, specific nerve signals, all coordinating to let us do things like, I don't know, button a shirt or play guitar. It really is amazing biological engineering.
Okay, so we've mapped out this intricate system. What does it actually mean when things go wrong? When these vital nerve pathways get damaged, it must really highlight how crucial they are.
Absolutely. When a nerve gets injured, the effects are often very direct and unfortunately predictable. You see a loss of function, either motor, so you can't move certain muscles, or sensory. You lose feeling that maps directly back to the specific nerve involved. It's like flipping a switch off on a circuit board.
We actually have an example from the sources we looked at, a case study of a 14-year-old boy. He had a really severe injury. The median nerve, the ulnar nerve, and a cutaneous nerve, plus the brachial artery. All transected, cut right through in his arm. That sounds just devastating. It is. That's a massive injury. But here's what's really interesting and quite telling from that case. Despite losing the median and ulnar nerves completely in the arm, the report notes that because his radial nerve was still intact, he could still manage a sort of grasp. It wasn't a normal grasp, obviously, but the fact that the radial nerve could still power some hand function probably the extensors working against gravity or minimal remaining tone. It just highlights how distinct the roles are. Even with catastrophic damage to some circuits, if another major one is spared, some function might persist. It really underscores the individual contributions. And let's look at another case from the material. This one describes a high median nerve injury. So the median nerve is damaged further up the arm. The result, no active flexion, no bending of the index finger and the thumb.
Wow. So you completely lose the ability to curl those two key digits for gripping. That really hammers home the median nerve's role in, well, pretty much any task requiring fine grasp. It's not a minor thing at all.
Not at all. And finally, there's an image we saw showing surgery at the wrist where both the median nerve and its palmar cutaneous branch were cut. You can actually see the incision, and then they've marked out the precise area on the palm where the patient lost sensation.
So it's a really visual demonstration. A specific cut at the wrist leads to a very specific localized patch of numbness. It's such a clear reminder that these nerves aren't just motor pathways for movement. They're literally how we feel and interact with the world through our hands.
Well, this has been an absolutely incredible deep dive. Just thinking about the journey from shoulder to fingertip, the power, the precision. It's clear our arms and hands are just these amazing feats of biological engineering, all orchestrated by this complex web of nerves.
It really gives you a new appreciation for everyday actions, doesn't it? Things we take completely for granted. And understanding these pathways also really clarifies the impact of injuries. Every single one of these nerves, axillary, musculocutaneous, radial, median, ulnar, each plays a unique, irreplaceable part. So remember that next time you pick up a glass or wave to someone, think about that incredible hidden symphony of nerve signals making it happen. It really is a kind of everyday miracle under our skin.
And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Knowing how precisely these nerves map to function, what sort of subtle, maybe surprising adaptations could our bodies or brains make if one pathway was slightly altered over time? Say, through something like repetitive strain. Or, looking forward, how can this detailed mapping help us design even better ways to restore function after injury, whether through advanced therapies or maybe even neural interfaces? Lots to think about.